A 240-page book has defeated the world's most powerful code-breaking supercomputers, 4 separate teams of professional cryptographers, and every linguist who has ever touched it, and not a single human being on Earth can tell you what it says. The manuscript was carbon dated to between 1404 and 1438, meaning it has been silently mocking human intelligence for over 600 years. We live in an age where AI deciphers dead Mesopotamian tablets in seconds, where satellites read license plates from orbit, where we mapped the human genome, and yet this one handwritten book sits in a Yale University vault, still completely, absolutely unreadable. Every expert who has staked their reputation on cracking it has walked away humiliated. What is the Voynich Manuscript, and why has every attempt to read it ended in failure? Inside this video, you'll discover a buried truth about who may have created it, a hidden pattern in its illustrations that most scholars deliberately ignore, and a revelation about its language that could rewrite everything we think we know about medieval history. The answer has been erased from mainstream conversation because it is too strange, too unsettling, and too destabilizing to accept. Stay with me, because what you are about to learn will make you question the entire history of human knowledge. The year is 1912. You are standing inside the decaying library of Villa Mondragone, a Renaissance estate 30 kilometers southeast of Rome. The air smells of old stone, mildew, and something older, centuries of forgotten paper. Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish antiquarian book dealer with a gift for finding things that should not exist, is sifting through a trunk of manuscripts sold off by the Society of Jesus. Most are unremarkable. Then he picks up one book and he stops breathing. The manuscript has no title, no author, no date on the cover. But inside, 240 pages of dense handwritten text flow across pages decorated with plants that do not exist in nature, astronomical diagrams no scholar can identify, naked women bathing in green-tinted liquid pipes, and zodiac symbols drawn with unsettling precision. Every single word is written in an alphabet nobody has ever seen before. Voynich does not scream, he does not run. He quietly pays for the trunk, wraps the book, and smuggles it back to his London shop. Tucked inside the manuscript's cover, Voynich finds a letter dated 1666 from Johannes Marcus Marci, rector of Charles University in Prague. The letter is addressed to Athanasius Kircher, the most famous codebreaker in 17th century Europe. Marci writes that the book was once purchased by Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II himself for 600 gold ducats. In today's money, that is roughly $50,000. Rudolph II was convinced the manuscript had been written by Roger Bacon, the 13th century English friar who reportedly understood nature 200 years before science did. Think about what you just heard. One of the most powerful rulers in European history paid a fortune for a book in a language he could not read, written by an author he could not confirm, containing knowledge he could not decode. That is not curiosity. That is desperation. Voynich spends the rest of his life trying to read the manuscript. He shares photographs with cryptographers, academics, and linguists across Europe and America. Every single one fails. When Voynich dies in 1930, the book passes through 3 more owners before being donated to Yale University's Beinecke Rare Book Library in 1969, where it sits today, cataloged as MS 408, waiting. Wide-shot wartime Washington, cigarette smoke, filing cabinets, men in uniform bent over tables covered in paper. The year is 1944. The Second World War is raging. The United States Army's Signal Intelligence Service, the same unit cracking Nazi Enigma communications and Imperial Japanese ciphers, receives a copy of the Voynich manuscript as a side project. These are the best codebreakers in the world, men who have already broken systems that German mathematicians declared unbreakable. They work on it for months. They find patterns, statistical repetitions, character frequencies, structural rhythms that suggest a real language beneath the surface. They get excited, they believe they are close. Then they hit a wall. Every pattern they find leads nowhere. The text behaves like a language but produces no meaning. One analyst, William Friedman, the man who cracked the Japanese purple cipher, considered the greatest crypto analyst in American history, spent the last 20 years of his life obsessed with the Voynich Manuscript. His conclusion, written in a private note discovered after his death: the manuscript is written in a constructed philosophical language designed to express ideas that no existing language could contain. You would have made the same mistake these experts made, assuming that a cipher with structure must have a key. But what if the structure is not the cage? What if it is the camouflage? In 2004, a University of Kiel computer scientist named Gordon Rugg proposes a new theory. He argues the manuscript is an elaborate hoax created using a Renaissance tool called a card-in grill, a card with cutout windows placed over a grid of random syllables to generate realistic-looking fake text. He demonstrates convincingly that this method could produce exactly the patterns seen in the manuscript. The academic world exhales, mystery solved. Except, in 2013, two researchers from the University of Manchester run the most sophisticated statistical analysis ever applied to the manuscript and discover that the text follows Zipf's law, the same mathematical law that governs all natural human languages. Hoaxes do not do this. Random generators do not do this. Only real languages obey Zipf's. The text is only half the mystery. The illustrations are where the Voynich manuscript reveals something genuinely disturbing. Of the 240 pages, roughly 113 contain botanical illustrations, drawings of plants with extraordinary detail and biological precision. The root systems are accurate. The leaf venation follows real plant biology. The illustrator clearly understood how plants grow. Not one of those 113 plants exists on Earth. Botanists have searched every known flora database on the planet. Medieval herbalists have compared it against every European, Middle Eastern, and Asian plant catalog in existence. Some illustrations share features with real plants, a root that resembles mandrake here, a leaf that suggests sunflower there, but none are exact matches. They're close enough to suggest deliberate design and far enough to confirm they are not real. The astronomical section is equally destabilizing. It contains circular diagrams featuring stars, concentric rings, and symbols that bear resemblance to early European zodiac charts, but with constellations arranged in configurations that match no known star map from any culture in any period. One diagram appears to show the Pleiades star cluster, with 6 stars drawn instead of the traditional 7. Except, modern astronomy confirms that one of the Pleiades stars, Pleione, is so close to Atlas that it appears as one star to the naked eye. The illustrator drew them separately. Either this is a remarkable coincidence, or whoever made this manuscript possessed observational astronomy that should not have existed in the 15th century. And then there are the women. Dozens of pages show nude female figures immersed in green-tinted liquid flowing through intricate pipe systems. The pipes connect to vessels that connect to other vessels. Some researchers see it as a biological diagram of the circulatory system, drawn 200 years before William Harvey described how blood circulates in 1628. Others see alchemical plumbing. Others see something they cannot name and choose not to write about publicly. Think about what you just heard. This book may contain medical knowledge that predates its official discovery by 2 centuries, hidden inside a script nobody can read. The year is 2017. Computer scientists at the University of Alberta feed the entire Voynich manuscript into a neural network trained on 50 natural human languages. The AI is given one instruction identifies the language most statistically similar to the manuscript's underlying structure, not Latin, not Arabic, not any of the 12 European languages researchers expected, Hebrew. A team led by Dr. Greg Contract immediately investigates. They apply a statistical model that strips away a proposed encryption layer, specifically one where vowels have been removed and letters shuffled, and begin attempting translations. The first sentence they partially reconstruct from the first page of the manuscript reads, "She made recommendations to the priest, man of the house, and me and people." That is not proof of a translation. Linguists immediately challenge the methodology. The debate explodes. But here is the thing. It is the closest any method has ever come to producing a coherent sentence from this manuscript in over 600 years. In 2019, a researcher named Gerard Cheshire publishes a paper claiming the manuscript is written in a lost dialect of Proto-Romance, a language that was the ancestor of Italian, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. He claims it is a pharmacological guide written by a Dominican nun for the Duchess of Milan. The University of Bristol initially promotes his paper, then, under enormous academic pressure, quietly distances itself from it. Cheshire insists he's correct. Most experts insist he is not. The argument continues to this day with no resolution. You would think that with everything humanity has built, every supercomputer, every AI, every linguistic database, we could crack one handwritten book from 1420. The fact that we cannot should disturb you more than it does. Here is what the Voynich Manuscript truly is, stripped of all academic noise. It is the clearest proof that human knowledge has a floor, and we have hit it. Every civilization that encounters this book becomes a little less certain of itself. The Romans thought they understood the ancient world. Medieval scholars thought they understood creation. Victorian cryptographers thought they understood codes. 21st century computers think they understand language. The manuscript has outlasted every era of human confidence and is quietly preparing to outlast this one too. The book asks one question in a language nobody can read, and the question is this: what exactly do you think you know? If this script made you feel something, curiosity, unease, that specific itch at the back of your brain that won't let go, drop a comment below with one word, what you think this manuscript really is. I read every single one. If you want more history that makes the ground feel less solid under your feet, subscribe, because there's a great deal more of this coming.